Welcome to Solution 21 Million's Guide to Bitcoin. What if I told you that the story of Bitcoin isn't really about technology at all? What if it's about a 5,000-year-old quest, a quest for something that could finally secure our future and our children's future? Well, that's the story we're exploring today.
Our story starts, believe it or not, right at the dawn of civilization. It spans empires, it spans millennia, and really it's a story about humanity's relentless, ongoing search for what we might call honest money, a real way to preserve the value of our hard work across time.
At the very heart of it all, this is a story about a fundamental human challenge. Think about it. How do we take the value we create today and make sure it's still there for our children, for our grandchildren, and, for our own future selves? To answer that, we really have to look back.
So let's do that. For literally thousands of years, civilizations all over the globe have experimented with different forms of money, and every single one was an attempt to solve this exact problem.
We've tried everything, from seashells in the Pacific to salt in ancient Rome. That's actually where the word salary comes from. We've even used giant stone wheels on the island of Yap. And each of these was a brilliant innovation for its time. They were all attempts to create a kind of common language of value, a way to store the energy from our labor.
But, and this is a big but, they all shared a fatal flaw. Seashells could be found by anyone with a boat. Salt could spoil. Cattle, they could die. This inherent weakness, this fragility, meant that planning for the long term was always on shaky ground. It was nearly impossible to build wealth across generations with money that could just vanish. And then, humanity stumbled upon something that seemed to solve all these problems. And for a long while, it really felt like we had finally found the answer. Gold and silver. These precious metals were different. They were rare, they were incredibly durable, and they were really hard to counterfeit. For centuries, this was the closest humanity ever got to perfect money. It allowed empires to flourish, and more importantly, it allowed regular families to build lasting wealth. And this introduced something profound, a new level of dignity and security. With sound money, people had this quiet confidence that their hard work was safe, that its value wouldn't just get eroded by time or debased by some ruler. They could actually save, knowing their children would inherit that value. But then, in the 20th century, something dramatic happened. A single decision was made that fundamentally changed the nature of money for the entire world. The year was 1971. In a move that sent shockwaves across the globe, governments, led by the United States, officially cut the final tie between their money and physical gold. The gold standard was over. Think about what this means. Before 1971, money was essentially a claim on a finite physical asset, gold. There's a hard limit on how much could be created. After 1971, money became what we call fiat currency. It's backed only by a government's promise, and that means it can be created in unlimited amounts. The consequences of this shift have been profound. As the supply of money goes up and up, the value of each individual dollar or pound or yen goes down. That's inflation. Your savings start losing their buying power year after year. And that long-term planning that gold allowed for, it became a constant uphill battle against a currency that was designed to devalue.
Okay, so this event in 1971, it really just highlights a historical pattern. When you look back, you see that every single form of money we've ever created has eventually failed for a few core reasons.
Let's break them down. These are the three fatal flaws. First, it can always be inflated. A ruler or a central bank can just create more of it whenever they want, which devalues everyone else's savings. Second, it can be seized. A central authority can take it from you. And third, it's often difficult to transport and verify, especially when you're trying to move it across borders.
This long history of failure is what sets the stage for a modern innovation, one that was created specifically to solve these ancient problems once and for all. Bitcoin's design directly confronts these three fatal flaws head-on. So its code enforces a strict, unchangeable limit of 21 million coins. That makes it impossible to inflate. And because it's decentralized, there's no single person or group in charge, so those rules can't be changed. When you hold your own keys, it can't be seized. And as a digital asset, it can be sent anywhere in the world to anyone in just a matter of minutes. What's so remarkable about this is the built-in fairness of the system. Unlike traditional finance, where the rules can be bent or changed by a powerful few, Bitcoin's rules are transparent, they're predictable, and they apply to every single person equally. No one gets special treatment.
So where does this all leave us?
Well, it means that for the very first time in our long history, we actually have the tools to complete this 5,000-year quest.
This quote just perfectly captures the essence of this moment. Choosing to learn about and use Bitcoin isn't just about adopting some new tech. It's about taking part in the final chapter of a 5,000-year search for a way to protect our labor and our families across time. You are restoring the ability for your family to think in decades, not just in days. You are handing your children and your grandchildren a tool for real financial sovereignty. The quest that began with salt and seashells, it finds its resolution with you.
The power to reclaim your time and secure your family's future, it's really within your reach. The journey doesn't end here. It actually begins with continuing to learn.
If you've found this historical look at money valuable, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and maybe share your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to be exploring a lot more aspects of this in future explainers.
And just a reminder, this presentation is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Please always do your own research and consult with qualified professionals before making any kind of investment decisions.